Welcome back to Man Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on at our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where again it's another hot day, and I think I'm going to be starting every single one of my Happy in Paradise, Animal Crossing episodes, just by stating the obvious fact, because you know it's a good sort of segue into leading into things, and it gives me an excuse to be able to drink water during these videos and be like, oh sorry, hydration break. Just like right now. Not to say that hydration breaks aren't important, they of course are very important, especially during this hot weather, so please stay hydrated. I don't know why, I just keep turning like what's meant to be casual conversations into PSAs, what's wrong with me? Anyway, hello there everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 3:27 PM on Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. What should we talk about today? I don't really know what to talk about. I know Riot Arcane got nominated for, I always forget what the awards are. Emmys, is that right? I always forget what the big awards are. You know, you got Oscars for like movies, you got Grammys for music, you got Tonys for, I don't know what Tonys are for. Isn't Tonys for TV? What's hold on, what's an Emmy? What's a Tony? There's that thing where you try and win like all four of the big rewards. Hold on, what's a Tony? I probably shouldn't have just searched Tony. Tony Award, a Wolf? Tony's a Broadway theatre one. What's that thing where it's like 4 major awards? Showbiz award. EGOT, that's it. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Well, yeah, that's the thing people want to get. Like, was it Emmys TV shows, right? Now, in United States television, that's a little bit. I didn't realise it was just United States stuff. Actually, how did that work? Because the Oscars had. Why is it just a picture of Will Smith? For American and international film industry, I suppose it probably started out as an American thing, has now broadened its horizons to incorporate more international things. That's pretty cool if that's true. Anyway, so yeah, there's that whole EGOT thing where you try and get like an award for every single one of those things. So you have excellence in TV, music, in a film, and in Broadway, which you know certainly seems like quite an impressive achievement. I mean, the way I set that up sounds like I'm going to follow up with like, here's why it's not. No, it is just impressive. It's a fantastic excellency, I suppose, of just showing a wide range of ability in. While there might be some overlap between the different not systems, awards and things you get through that, it's still very impressive in its own right. I don't know if it's a scientific equivalent. I don't know how that would work. I guess you need to try and get a Nobel prize in what are my Nobel prizes in? Physics, biology. I don't know what the categories are for Nobel prizes. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I know there's peace. I think there's literature, which seems a little bit confusing. Or hold on, medicine, chemistry. No award. No, nominate what? Just give me the prizes. Now whatever. This is too complicated. But I suppose you could do it. You could do your medicine, physics, chemistry. Medicine, physics, chemistry, you had to get a Nobel Prize in each of them. And then you had to get a Fields Medal for mathematics, which is incredibly hard to get because it's like once every 5 years or something. As opposed to, well, I don't know how often Nobel Prizes are in the first place. Anyway, I've not really got my eyes on any Nobel Prizes or anything like that. And, you know, there's a very firmly out of reach for me. Probably. I mean, I think it'd be a big change up in my existence if, you know, suddenly I was in the running to get any sort of like EGOT prize or Nobel Prize for like anything. You might be like, what about maths, Fields Medal? No, that's not happening. I'm going to be absolutely clear to you. No, nor do I have a tenaciousness to work hard enough to do a Fields Medal because, you know, I don't do academia or anything like that. Nor do I really intend to. I don't know. I don't mean to be a bit cynical, but it's sort of like awards don't really matter in the end. I mean, they do matter in the end. It's always nice to get like a series of like not accomplishments necessarily, but like recognition, I suppose, for the work you put into things. But I suppose like at that point, when a lot of people who do attain that sort of level probably don't care so much about, they're not doing it for the award per se, they're doing it for like the love of the creation in the first place. They're the ones who push things to the furthest distance, which you kind of need to actually make like really great things a lot of the time, you know, depending. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people who ended up getting those awards don't really care about getting awards in the first place. It feels a little bit arbitrary. And I suppose it's very easy for me to say, as someone who's not really in those high society circles, to be like, oh, it is super arbitrary because, you know, I don't know, maybe it isn't super arbitrary for, you know, the people in there. But, you know, I'm not really here to sort of comment on the politics surrounding those awards. You know, why don't we talk about award ceremonies much closer to home, and that's ones that you get in school and that sort of thing. I suppose, if anything, perhaps I'm a little bit cynical towards award ceremonies at all, because other ones I've already done quite a few in school and that sort of thing. Like, I always think that in primary school we didn't really have all that many, not that I can think of. Like, I got awards for doing maths challenge things a couple of times. No, actually, the biggest thing I remember is that there was a year 5 maths challenge. It was a team-based maths challenge thing. I don't know why it was year 5 instead of year 6. I suppose they assumed year 6 being the final year in primary school. So I guess, like, whatever, grade 7 in elementary school. I can't remember how the grading system works in America. Anyway, it's the final year of, like, the first stage of your academic life. Anyway, there was a year 5 maths challenge where basically there was a load of people in the local area or whatever. And, you know, it might have actually been like national, but I can't imagine it had been national because I think it would have been harder competition or something. I think it must have been in a local area. But basically, it was this year 5, 4 of us participated in like the qualifying rounds of the maths challenge. We went to a different local school and we did our best, and then like we qualified. We were top scoring school in that like district, that sort of small district. I can't remember how many people we competed against. I think it wasn't against too many. I think it might have been against like 12 schools or something in general, and they had these little things all across the country. I remember my year 5 teacher at the time was absolutely ecstatic. Like she was so unbelievably happy. I don't know if she came in with like because I had 2 year 5 maths, not maths teachers. I had 2 teachers in year 5, and we had one of them. I don't really remember much about her, but she was quite low key. But this other teacher, she was very like emotional, I suppose. So oftentimes she would get like incredibly angry at times, but she was also very sweet and kind in ways. It's just sort of like when she got angry, she got angry. She was a very emotional, sort of wear her emotions on a sleeve sort of person, which, you know, I sort of respect, you know, to a certain degree. And I will say getting angry at primary school kids is sort of like not a very good way to win them over. So, but, you know, looking back as an adult now, I'm like, she was fine. And she was quite, I suppose, passionate about that. Sorry, I'm just like sorting out my hairstyle because some bobby pins are coming undone. And I'm trying to figure out what hairstyle I want to sort of have most of the time in summer, because, you know, I do like to look stylish and that sort of thing. But the normal thing of like double braided buns, which I usually do, are quite inconvenient because the buns don't like hold extraordinarily well with headphones. So now I've turned it into a thing kind of from like Himino Nawa, where I've got like French braids going down the side of my head and it goes up into a ponytail. But the bobby pins, I have quite a lot of hair, so the bobby pins aren't quite strong enough to hold in my ponytail. So, you know, I'll try a different hairstyle tomorrow to see what ends up being best. But anyway, so she was quite passionate. I remember when we told her, or when she found out we won, she was super ecstatic. She actually bought us chocolate, I think, during the break or something. Like, there's a little bit of break where she like popped out of shops, or maybe she brought chocolate along with her. I can't remember. She gave us all chocolate as like a reward or something, and that was pretty cool. But she was actually so incredibly happy. She was so excited for us. I was like, wow. Sort of contagious energy, and of course I was like 10 at the time, so, you know, 10 is sort of like when I'd imagine kids are sort of starting to not develop. No, hold on. Personalities stop developing at 4, but it's sort of like when kids are in that sort of weird space where they're like quite outspoken, but also trying to balance, you know, being society. Not societally acceptable, but being, you know, balancing nice with like cockiness at the same time. If that's what if you get what I mean. I mean, most of you have probably been 10. You probably understand what I mean. You know, kids say the darndest thing. You know, that's sort of like the peak age, I think, for it. I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. Let me have a sip of water first before I think about this. Anyway, oh yeah, so we did that. We qualified for the next round. Where the next round was the finals, which I think it was just in my county. I'm not going to say which county that is, obviously, but you could probably guess from my accent. I think it was just in my county. It was a year 5 maths challenge of I remember there being like 50 different schools. We went to like the local university, and we went to one of our lecture halls where basically we all had the competition. We did like a math challenge, loads of different rounds. I think I've spoken about it before. Like, I mean, if you go back through my videos, you'll probably find I've spoken about everything. But so I'm not going to go into detail what the rounds particularly were, but I do remember it surprisingly well for really no apparent reason. But what happened in the end is we won. Because I remember the announcement and the award ceremony that happened at the end. Because I remember talking to like my dad and the teacher at the time about oh, you're ill, let's go get you some medicine, about one of the problems. And I remember discussing it, and then me being cocky that I actually got the question right or something, because they both misread the question or something like that. I don't remember, but I remember my dad telling me like he knew deep in his heart that we were going to win. And because the thing that happened was like they announced in the award ceremony that 5 schools were getting awards, and so they gave out they announced school like got 3rd place, and they gave out awards, and they were like 3 schools got joint 2nd and silver medals and that sort of thing. And according to my dad, that's the point where he knew that we had won. And I don't know if perhaps my dad says full of baseless confidence, or maybe not baseless, because surprise surprise, we did win in the end. And it's a fantastic feeling, sort of going up and, and everyone applauding around you, like 50 schools. We had to beat like 50 times 12. Well, there's no way we beat 600 schools. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we beat a large number of schools to get to that position. We won the maths competition, and we got, rewarded and everything. I remember we had an assembly on the next day where headmaster also re-awarded us the sort of medals again in assembly in front of the whole school, and we got to hold up like certificates again. It was just like, wow, we did so incredibly well. And the teacher was absolutely ecstatic. It was probably the happiest I've ever seen her, which is I don't know why I don't know why she was so happy. I imagine when you're a teacher you have an investment in the children, that you're like teaching your pupils, that you're teaching, that sort of thing. So seeing them succeed and do well just makes you go, wow, yes. in that sort of attitude. Anyway, she was so super excited about it, and kind of made me excited about it. Even I feel like more excited about it looking back now, through nostalgia lenses rather than necessarily at the time. I think at the time it didn't really sink in like how it wasn't like a huge massive thing, but it was like the first big thing which happened, I suppose. Anyway, I think I still have pictures from that time. Ugh. Let's not think about that. I'm not going to go seek them out or something. Anyway, you might be like, oh, what happened to the other people who were on the team? I literally have no idea. I haven't spoken to anyone from primary school in like decades, so who knows? Hopefully they're doing well, probably. Actually, that's not true. I actually saw one of the other girls who was on the team at like a train station, like, let me think, like 6 years ago or something. I know she was doing well. Last time I spoke to her. But yeah, it was cool. But the award ceremony itself was not very interesting, and I suppose there's not really many ways you can make award ceremonies cool. But I talked about it in the past that I was quite academically hard-working, I suppose, in secondary school, so I ended up getting a decent amount of like academic awards. And I must say, I suppose if anything, it made me a little bit jaded about them, because in secondary school, not primary school, in secondary school, that is. Every single year we'd have something called like a prize giving ceremony, where it would basically I think it's the form, because we have different houses basically, think like Harry Potter houses. So in our school we had 6 houses, and so we had 6 houses for each year. Each year was about 30 or so students. So what was I going to say? 30 students, and I believe a form teacher, basically the homeroom teacher, I think is the American equivalent, decided every single year who would get the awards. And the awards were always, there was always 2 awards for attainment and 1 award for being hardworking. And I believe for every and because I ended up being quite good academically, I was quite a good student. I was I had got good academic grades. I was good in almost all subjects, I suppose, apart from PE or gym class. I wasn't that physically minded, but luckily I didn't really factor into much of anything. And I was a good student in a way. I wasn't really much of a rule breaker or much of a rebel in that sort of regard. So I did things on time. So obviously a lot of the times I got the attainment award. Like I got it in year 7, understandably, that's the first time we got the thing. I got it again in year 8 when I guess I also got the attainment thing. I remember also at one point, I think it was year 9 or year 10, I can't remember. The teacher spoke to me and was like, is it okay? No, not like, is it okay? But she was just like, we're probably going to give the attainment award to someone else because, you know, you've had it over previous years. And I was like, fine, it doesn't matter to me. I don't really care. And you might be like, oh, why don't you care about these attainment awards? They're really cool. Well, it's the sort of thing where like tons of people got them. No, it's not just tons of people got them, but it's the fact that I did them every single year that they got boring. Like I actually attended every single prize giving every year, which, you know, I understand this comes from a very sort of like privileged position because a lot of people work really hard in school. I mean, you know, they can't get the same results, I suppose, necessarily. And even getting into prize giving once and getting a attainment award is a great honour, and I'm sure their parents would be super proud of them. But it's a thing where they should have definitely given it to different students every single year, I think. But I also guess at the same time it's kind of like a thing where it sort of cheapens the value of the award at the same time. If they did genuinely want to give it to, you know, students who work hard and attain, you know, good results, I suppose. So it's sort of like when you know, each side has pros and cons, I suppose is how I'd put it. But and it ended up being, to me, incredibly boring because it was like hours long. It was after school. It was like at 6 or 7. Obviously it has to be that late because, you know, all the parents had to, you know, come home from work to actually go see it. So it was like after school, and it lasted like 3 hours because obviously you had to have every single house in every single year getting 3 people getting awards every single time. They even try and make it very streamlined. Like you have a rehearsal, basically how everyone's going to line up. You all line up in like the order you'll be called out. You just like walk across, you know, shake the headmaster's hand, get an envelope from not the headmaster, but like the head of year or the corresponding head of year or head of the key stage, I suppose, which is basically sort of like a span of 3 or 4 years, and then, you know, you go sit down, and then there's performances throughout, like sometimes even people like I think isn't it always the case that like one of the years, maybe it's like year 9s, always sing, I think, in the award ceremony. I can't remember really off the top of my head, but there's performances like one of my friends played piano in one of the performances. Embarrassing story from him, he forgot. Like he played without the sheet music and he was perfectly fine in rehearsals, but when it came to actual the performance time himself, I suppose he panicked a little bit and he couldn't remember how to play the actual piece. Which, you know, I'm sort of just outing him here. It's okay, he doesn't watch these videos. I haven't spoken to him for years, so it's probably quite funny. I hope he looks back at it in retrospect and being quite an amusing time, rather than mortifying, because, you know, this sort of stuff happens. But anyway, the prize giving ceremony himself is like, it's not particularly interesting, you know. It's basically you sit down for hours and then you go up, you walk across the stage for your one time, you know, you get your certificate and you sit down again. And again, I understand like how sort of like rude I end up sounding just by being like it was incredibly boring, because I did put a lot of effort into these sort of ceremonies and that sort of thing to, you know, make the students feel accomplished in what they got. But it, you know, I suppose having to go to them every single year was a little bit dull. Because we had them each year, because, you know, year 7, 8 and 9 and 10, I think we just had normal attainment ones, and No, year 7, 8 and 9 had normal attainment ones, 2 for attainment, 1 for hard work, and I got attainment twice in year 7 and 8. In year 9, I didn't actually get any award for year 9, but I was still there at prize giving for some reason. I don't remember why. I was there for some reason, like, which is why I think year 9s had to perform a song, because I think I had to perform a song or something when I was there, and I can't remember. But anyway, I was there in year 9 prize giving, despite the fact I didn't have an award. Year 10, I think it was that's when we started getting, like, preparatory GCSE ones, or we got the attainment ones again. Anyway, I got another award there, so that's a bit boring. Year 11 is probably when we started getting the GCSE ones, or maybe, yeah, that sounds about, yeah, I think year 11 is when we got the GCSE ones, and then year 12 and year 13 we had A-level ones, or something along those lines. I don't remember what I got it for GCSE, I'm going to be honest. I must assume it was maths, I can't remember. Hold on, I think I'm like getting confused between them. Maybe it was year 13 we got the A-levels one, and year 12 is when we got the GCSE one. So maybe year 10 was also an attainment one. I don't remember. It all blurs together to me, and I don't even think my parents would remember if I asked them about it. I'm going to be perfectly honest, because it probably blurs together for them as well. Which is why I'm sort of just like, man, it just sounds so arrogant, I suppose, of me to talk about it, being, oh, look how decorated I am. It's like, these awards don't matter in the slightest, let's be honest. I suppose the most exciting thing from them is the fact you got a £10 like book token for WH Smith, which is basically like a chain stationery shop in the UK, which I most of the time forgot to use. I'll be perfectly honest. Like I used like 2 of them, and I forgot the other 2 years, and they both expired or something. So anyway, I suppose the GCSE one and the A-level ones were a little bit better, because you got like specific ones. I really can't remember what I got for GCSE one. It must have been maths, surely. I would have got a maths award because, you know, I was pretty good at maths. But A-level was a more interesting story because, like, I remember actually talking to the teachers about it, being like, oh, obviously they're only going to give one student each subject award. And it's a weird thing now I think about it, but like the teacher told me that I probably would have got it in 4 different subjects or something. Which I'm just like, I'm pretty sure he was just saying that to sort of pick me up, and even if that was true, and be like, that's a weird thing, you probably shouldn't disclose that, you know, sort of like undermines the award, and sort of like, if literally any other student heard that, they'd be like, man, that makes this award feel quite bad now, doesn't it, rather than like good, like, oh, I only got it out of sort of like pity rather than necessarily my own attainment and hard work, which sort of like flies in the face of what it's meant to stand for, I suppose. But anyway, they have a sensible rule of basically, giving 1 award to each student for each subject or something. And I don't know. Because I feel like he had a conversation with the maths department about who should get it, because they wanted to give. I was also meant to get a maths award, but they also had someone else who was also pretty good at maths, so they gave that award to him. But so I got it for physics, and then if you don't know, I also did A-level electronics during school, and we had electronics is just basically, you know, circuitry and that sort of thing. And it's actually a rare subject, so it's surprising it was even taught at school and for A-level in first place. But I took it, and the physics and electronics department were the same department. And there was I had another good friend who took physics but not electronics, who was also incredibly smart, and well, probably still is incredibly smart. And he got the award for electronics, which, you know, I didn't know about because we didn't really like chat all that much outside. But I remember he basically went up to our teacher in physics and was like, hey, I got an award for electronics, but I don't even take electronics. My teacher just being like so panicked about the entire thing, being like, how did this happen? Because you get a special letter home being like, oh, your child is, you know, due to attainment in whatever academic studies or whatever, you've been invited to prize giving. It was called senior prize giving ceremony, which happens on this date or whatever. And because your child, and in his one, it was like, because your son has got an award for electronics or something. And he was just like, I don't even do electronics, so I don't know how I got this award. But luckily I was there at the same time, you know, and I also got a letter being like, oh, you know, I got the letter, I got the award for physics. Let's just like swap, you know. I proposed it to the teacher. I was like, should we just like swap our awards? I don't really, you know, care about it's so callous, like the way I put it, but I was like, I don't really care about the award in the first place. And then, you know, the teacher was very thankful, and I remember I spoke to the teacher afterwards being like, how did that even happen? And he was just like, let's not talk about it. And I was like, all right, fair enough. So to this day I don't know what on earth happened. They ended up giving an award to a student who didn't even take the subject in the first place. And I must have assumed that initially it was switch, and I got the electronics award and he got the physics award, but then they like switched it around again for something, but then they kind of forgot that he didn't actually take electronics in the first place. Wild stuff, wasn't it? Anyway, but see, the older years prize giving is a bit more interesting than the younger years, because instead of just getting like literally what all you got as an award was like what size piece of paper is this? It's 1/4 A4, so A6 piece of paper, which said, your child got an award for excellence. It was like, your name got award for excellence in, and someone wrote in like in year 10 or whatever, and it was signed, well, not actually signed by the like headmaster and like someone else, but like, you know, a photocopy of like a signed thing from them, which you might be like, that seems a little bit boring. It is a little bit boring. And you only got it in like the most indiscreet sort of like brown envelope. I think I still have the awards actually. I think we're in a box under my bed. So yeah, I mean, if you are someone who, you know, like worked really hard in school and you always wanted to get one of those awards and never got one, you know, then I sympathise in that sort of sense. It's always nice to feel like you got rewarded for your efforts. But, you know, the biggest reward you can get for your efforts is from, I think, recognition from not necessarily the school for their sort of very arbitrary awards and prizes and trophies or whatever, because they're quite meaningless in the end. Really, the best thing you get is like a sort of self-satisfaction, you know, the award of an intrinsic satisfaction from yourself, being like, yes, I worked hard at this and this is my result. You know, you don't need external factors necessarily. I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just running around. What Nigma missions do we have? Oh, I was looking for fossils, that's what I was doing, but I just forgot to dig them up. It's better to be like intrinsically happy, I suppose, with the own fruits of your labour, rather than, you know, I suppose tying them up to intrinsic rewards and evaluations in that sort of sense. And I think you'll find yourself a lot happier that way if you are someone who managed to end up basically doing it. That's just sort of my life advice to you. And coming from someone who got a few of those awards, really meaningless in the end. I don't even remember them. I mean, you talk about them now, I don't even really remember all that well which ones I got. If it wasn't for that story about the A-level ones, then I'd probably completely forget what award I got for A-level. And, oh yeah, I was going to say, but at least the A-level one's a little bit cooler, because instead of getting just like a tiny piece of paper, you get like a shield. Like, you get I think it's actually in my cupboard. Should I go find it? Hold on. I'll go find it. I'll probably pause as well when I find it. If it's any indication of like how little I cared for it, it's, you know, it's in a very dusty, now kind of mouldy white box, which has a sticker with our school's logo, has a name on it, has my name on it, and has, for some reason, the number 2 written in the top right corner. I don't know why that happened. Anyway, it's a nice little shield, you know. It's got my my school, it's got a school logo on it, and it's got like our school motto beneath it. It doesn't even say specifically what I got the award for, but it has a little certificate inside being like, ooh, school, I got a certain type of prize awarded to me for excellence in AS electronics. Wow. Signed by the headmaster. Oh yeah, I was looking at it being like, that's not our headmaster, and I forgot our headmaster changed in like my final year or something. So that was a new headmaster. Anyway, ain't that straight? And now it sits in a white box in my cupboard because I can't be bothered to, you know, put it up anywhere. Of interest. Along with all my other, well, actually not all my certificates and that sort of thing. My university degree is framed and hung up on my wall because that's quite nice. That's something I certainly worked very hard for. I forgot what I was going to say. So yeah, I don't know. Award ceremonies are kind of arbitrary. Even now the Oscars and things, and like I never check into Oscars, you know, Grammys, Tonys, or anything like that. I don't really care, I suppose. I've sort of detached myself quite thoroughly from extrinsic validation. Or the only validation which really matters to me, I suppose, nowadays is intrinsic, which is good and bad in its own way, because, you know, obviously it's good from like sort of being able to detach yourself from the need of others to, you know, feel good about yourselves, but also it's kind of bad in the sense that if you ever, you know, get to points where you're like, oh, you're not feeling happy with like something you produced or something you've done, etc., while, you know, being able to get some validation from intrinsic evaluation often means that, you know, other people being like, oh, you know, your work is really good or something like that. It does look cool, makes you feel better. While for me, it's just like, well, you might as well have said literally nothing. Because it had made no difference in the end. Not in that callous way, but like it's sort of like, it's not the same, you know. So really, the ideal, you know, the ideal result, along with many things, is to have a nice balance of both. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. And if you're sitting here listening to this being like, I never got an award for anything, like not even at school or whatever, let me give you an award right now for watching this video all the way through to the end. A Dear Darling Supporter Award, how about that? Also, apparently I'm nearly 300 subscribers. That's insane. I think what I should do is I should probably start streaming once I get 300 subscribers. I think that'd be quite fun. And I do want to try it, certainly. I talked about it so much, being like, oh, you know, I want to try streaming, that sort of thing. I think I'd like it quite a lot. I mean, my videos are basically just kind of like me streaming anyway, because I don't edit them. But it will happen at some point. I promise you, it will happen. I should probably stop tying it to the idea of me making my VTuber avatar, because that VTuber avatar is going to take a while for me to make. But we'll see. Maybe I'll try it in August, you know, when Art Fight's all over. That'd be good fun. But anyway, I'm going to round off this episode here. So, you know, that's the end of my award ceremony. That was my entire speech. I was sorry to keep you here for half an hour for, you know, at the end of the day, what was a very meaningless speech. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I talked about. It's hot. I'm getting delirious. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares, I greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.